He then worked with G League squads Tulsa 66ers, Sioux Falls Skyforce, and the D-Fenders. That American Jermaine Byrd has been tapped as the chief tactician of the Green Archers.
Waking up early, I'ma never be late. Writing what I want, like y'all better relate. And we celebrating life till we barely see straight. They tryna hold me back, but I'll never delay. Nah, I never delay, nah, I never delay. Play that type of music, make 'em wanna replay. Nah, I never delay, nah, I never delay.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of The Coach's Call. We're on episode 6. I have an exciting guest here today. Coached in the NBA G League, coached all over the world, in Asia, Korea, Japan. He's also been involved with USA Basketball. More recently, was leading the program, one of the top basketball programs in the Philippines in the Salle Green Archers. Welcome, Coach Jermaine Byrd, to the podcast today. How are you, Coach?
I am great, man. Thanks for having me on this wonderful program.
Thanks. It's really good to have you, Coach, here today. First off, I usually ask the guests how they fell in love with the game. Where did they all grow up? Tell us about your upbringings and how you first started to fall in love with the game of basketball, Coach.
Well, I'm from Houston, Texas. My mom, her name is Joyce Byrd. She was the supervisor at one of the best basketball facilities in the Houston area back in the days, Fondue Recreation Center. It was home of a lot of professional athletes, and I kind of grew up in the gym. That's where my first love kind of surfaced for basketball. My mom was a part of Keem Olajuwon, Clyde Drexler, Michael Young. A lot of legendary older guys would play pickup in the summer there. So I would just watch it. I grew up in the gym, and that's where my love came from the love of basketball.
I did a bit of research. You have siblings that play basketball too, is that correct?
Yeah, I have one older brother. He was also a part of that process. He's 8 years older than me. He grew up watching before me. With the mentors of Clyde Drexler, Keem Olajuwon, Michael Young. They all played at the gym that my mom was a supervisor at. So my brother and me got a firsthand look of professional basketball at an early age.
And how old were you then? Was that until you were like maybe 11, 12?
Nah, I mean, my mom worked there for about 25 to 30 years. So my childhood memory is just being in that gym all the way up until I was about 18 years old. I literally grew up in that gym. They just had a Hall of Fame about 6 or 7 years ago, and my mom was inducted into the Hall of Fame. So, basketball has been part of my DNA since I could remember, just to be honest.
That's amazing, Coach. Sounds like your mother was a very hard worker in the community out there for sure. So did you play in high school? How was that like, playing in high school in Houston?
Yeah, I played in high school. I went to Reagan High School. It's now Heights High School. I played well. Started as a freshman. Then I transferred to a school called Waltrip High School. It was really good. We were top 10 in the city. Then after that, I went on to play junior college basketball at Navarro Junior College for a year. Then I ended up in Richland Junior College. Went to the Final Four. And then I started to play at the University of Sioux Falls in South Dakota, where I helped lead that team to the first Final Four berth, NAIA. And that's where my coaching career started.
So again, as you mentioned, you were competing since a very young age, played at collegiate level. Did you always see yourself as a coach then? Did you see it happening?
Well, I mean, no. I mean, every basketball player is thinking he's going to the NBA, especially at a young age. But to be honest with you, I kind of felt like I probably should have went into coaching sooner. Like I said, I've been around the game of basketball pretty much. I know the game. Feel like I know the game. So I never thought I would be a coach. I played. I was trying to play overseas. I was traveling to different little leagues, trying to play and, trying to make a living for myself fresh out of college. And then a mentor who also was my college coach, who is also now the associate head coach for the Portland Trailblazers. His name is Nate Tibbetts. He asked me, he said, "Hey, I think you should come down here in Oklahoma City and help me, coach. I think you would be a great coach. You were a point guard in college. I think you have a great mind, so I think you should come out here and try coaching." And at first, I was just like, coaching? Like, all right. So that's how it started. I went to Oklahoma City with him. He was a part of the Oklahoma City staff. I interned for 2 years, and then that's kind of how I got into coaching. Interned for 1 year, I'm sorry.
It's interesting because I coach in the UK. So we get a lot of students that graduate from, say, NCAA D3, D2, NAIA, JUCO colleges, because once they've graduated, they either turn pro or that's the end of their careers, isn't it? Unfortunately. So a lot of the Americans come here, they pursue a master's degree while continuing playing, and then they branch out once they're in UK to professional clubs in say, England or even around Europe. So they're in Europe, and that's their kind of pathway towards playing professional basketball. Was that happening back then? Was that quite did you see any of your athletes, any of your colleagues do that?
Yeah, I mean, it's all a part of the grind, I like to call it. Growing up in Houston, you meet a lot of basketball players who, for whatever reason, didn't go to the biggest college, or didn't get the same opportunities. And, we're just all trying to make it. So that's where that gym comes back in, Fundy Recreation Center. A lot of guys to this day, they would go up to Fundy Recreation Center, downtown Houston, Texas, agents, teams, they would come down and try to find guys in the summer because the talent here in the city is just that good. But yeah, there's plenty of people in my position and plenty of people who I know do that same route that you just mentioned.
And how's it like being during the pandemic? Because a lot of the gyms are closed right now, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot of the gyms are closed. I mean, especially here in the United States and all over the world, COVID-19 is really, it's hit us all. So, things are still going on. You still see people working out here and there as you see leagues are getting ready to start back, as the NBA is getting ready to start back. I think the CBA in China has already started. So,
With the opportunity you mentioned in Oklahoma, was that with the Tulsa 66ers, correct?
Yeah, that was with the Tulsa 66ers. They were owned by the Oklahoma City Thunder. We were ran by the Oklahoma City Thunder. Sam Presti was my boss. We did everything that they did in Oklahoma City. We were about 30 minutes away. So, it was a great experience for me. I was there during the time that, Kevin Durant was there, Russell Westbrook was there, James Harden was there, Serge Ibaka was there. And everything they did at that level, we had to do in the G League. So, they would bring us to training camp. We would spend the whole summer with those guys, with the coaches. At the time, Scott Brooks was the head coach. We had the same terminology as Oklahoma City Thunder, the same uniforms, the same philosophy, same everything. Pretty much helped me, give me a foundation into professional sports. Coming in every day, seeing professionals like Mark Bryant, seeing professionals like Troy Reaver, who just got the GM job in Detroit, seeing professionals like Dale Osborne, who worked for the Portland Trailblazers, and Nate Tibbetts as well. Just seeing them work every day as a young coach, up-and-coming coach, it was valuable experience just to see that every day.
And that was, if I got the timeline right, that was around 2009 that you started working with the Tulsa 66ers. It was called the Development League, right there, D-League. It's changed a lot since then. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's changed. The name has changed. I mean, my opinion, The name has changed due to, you know, sponsorship, but it's still the
Still the same.
same league. You know what they use the league for. It's amazing. They give the opportunity for players. They give the opportunity for front office execs. They give the opportunity for coaches. They give the opportunity for video coordinators to get the experience, get the training. It's not only about the players. That's the misconception. When I was there in Oklahoma City in the G League, I had about four jobs,
Wow.
you know. So it gave me the opportunity not only to learn how to be a coach, but it gave me the opportunity to learn how to be a skill developer. It gave me the opportunity to learn how to be a video coordinator. It gave me the opportunity to do some front office work and basketball ops. And I've watched numerous personnel. I watched numerous players. I watched numerous media members all gain experience from that league. So for me, the name has just changed due to the sponsorship, but it's still, you know, still doing the same thing.
That's great to hear. It
Yeah.
does, Coach. I mean, it's great to hear that the organization is not just looking out for the players, it's looking out for the coaching staff. And there's opportunities, as you mentioned. It sounds like a great organization to work for. You worked your way up. I mean, you worked up your way up to assistant coach. During this time, you actually worked with Team USA basketball, isn't it, during the Pan Am Games? Speak more about that experience that you had with Team USA.
Oh, it was a great experience. I believe the same people are still in charge of it. Sean Ford, he's over USA Basketball. They took our staff from Oklahoma City, from Tulsa, Nate Tibbetts, same guys, Nate Tibbetts, myself, and Dale Osborne. And we just did what we did. You know, we had a group of G League players due to, I think it was a lockout or something. Something happened where we couldn't take the NBA players, but we took the G League players and we still had a great time. It was a great experience. We were playing against guys like Louis Scola. We were playing against guys like the Gasol brothers. We were playing against guys who still compete today in FIBA. So, you know, it was a great experience for myself.
And a bit of history was made as well. It was the first bronze medal since 1999. I think USA had achieved at the Pan Am Games. Was that correct?
Yeah, it was some history. So, you know, that's something I'm a part of, and it's something I'm proud of, and I'll never forget that.
And for upcoming coaches coming up, you know, coaching at, say, the NBA, having that badge, what would you encourage coaches to kind of aim for? How was that feeling coaching in the NBA G League?
Well, necessarily. I mean, I didn't necessarily get a crack at coaching in the NBA, but to be honest, it felt like it. I mean, you know, like I said, we did everything they did. We were in their facilities. So to young and up and coming coaches, just, you know, just try to get better every day. I think the one knock for me is, as a young coach, you know, I just wanted to be on the floor. I was just all about wanting to train guys and develop them. But like I said, in Oklahoma City, my boss, Brandon Barnett, along with Sam Presti and Nate Tibbetts, they gave me multiple jobs. At the time, I didn't really understand it. You know, I was, like I said, I was a video coordinator, I was a skill developer, and I was an assistant coach, all in the same year. So as a young coach, I just wanted to be on the floor. I just wanted to be around the players and help them get better. But looking back at it now, getting to do all those multiple jobs at my next stop, you know, I think I went to Sioux Falls after that, and you know, we needed a video coordinator, and I knew how to do it. I was like, we don't need to go hire one. You're set on having one vision, and you know, what I want to tell young coaches is try to be a Swiss Army knife. You know, just like basketball players are. Try to, you know, add to your catalog.
So moving, say, from Tulsa 66ers, you moved on to the Los Angeles Defenders, isn't it? Speak about that transition.
It was good. I had a stop before that though. I had a stop in Sioux Falls.
Oh, you did, yeah. Skyforce, isn't
Yeah,
it?
I was with the Sky Force. They're now ran by the Miami Heat. That was a good opportunity as well, as I went to college in South Dakota. I went to college in Sioux Falls, so gave me a great opportunity to work back and go back to the city that I grew up in as far as college. It helped me become an adult. So that was a great experience. After that, uh, I got the opportunity to land with the Lakers and land with the LA Defenders. Uh, Nick Mazzella gave me the opportunity. I think he's still there. It was great. It was very different, but it was the same. I mean, we were in LA, so we were in a big city, big market. We practiced and we played in our practice arena. It was Kobe Bryant's last 2 years in LA, playing for the Lakers. So you can just imagine how that was. Got an up and close personal view to see him those last 2 years. We our dressing room was right across the hall from theirs. So it was a great experience. I got opportunity to work with a lot of guys who could play. Josh Majette, who's playing for the Orlando Match right now. Vander Blue, who had a shot with the LA Lakers. Jabari Brown, who played for the LA Lakers. Malcolm Thomas, who's playing overseas right now, but he also played for a handful of teams, the LA Lakers, the Spurs. Jamal Franklin, who's over there in China, just got an MVP award. So it gave me the opportunity to work with a lot of talented guys. Whether in Oklahoma City, it was based on development. They wanted to get the guys who were under the radar, kind of help them develop. And they also wanted to use it for their NBA team. Whereas in LA, the Lakers, they had a veteran team. They had Kobe Bryant. So they used their D-League team differently. They used their team to acquire a lot of talent, ex-NBA guys, and just let them play. Also got the opportunity to work with Jordan Clarkson his first year. He didn't get to play the first half of the season, the NBA, so he spent a lot of time with the Defenders. Byron Scott was the coach. So it was a great experience. Two different situations, but it was a great experience.
Did you find yourself more on the floor, coach, this time rather than juggling different things at Tulsa 66ers?
Yeah, that was another thing. I was more of a coach on the floor. They brought me in to kind of develop guys in LA, but still, I didn't have to wait for the video coordinator, or I didn't have to wait for the scout, because I had previous experience with those things. So if I was working with Vander Blue on decision making, I wouldn't have to take it to the video coordinator. I would just chop it up myself after I work him out, or before I work him out, sit down with him and let him see the clips. And we went that way in LA.
And as you mentioned, you're still repping Kobe at the top. It's great to see. How is it like seeing and working with someone like Kobe Bryant at one point? Man,
it was amazing. It was amazing for me just to see him work every day. It was the last 2 years of his career, but he still had the work ethic. He still had the mystique. I mean, it literally was like watching a superhero every day. I mean, just the preparation he would put in his daily routine to practice. It was good for us to see as coaches. It was good for our young guys to see in LA. It was something I'll never forget. Never ever in my life will I forget the 2 years I spent in LA.
I think it's a true testament to the professionalism of Kobe, isn't it? Even in the last 2 years of his career, he still created that same routine, still had that same drive, still had that intense, that legendary status in which he built over time. Would you agree?
Oh my God, it's only, you hear the stories and you see how great these athletes are, but to kind of see it, and that was just one part of his day. He has a legendary story. He would come in to the facility 5 a.m., work out, then they would have practice at about 9 or 10, and then he would stay after. And then our defenders, we would practice after, and he would still be at the facility when we would be done. So, just the work ethic he had and displayed, it was amazing to see. It's amazing to be a part of.
That's amazing to hear, Coach.
Yeah.
So how long were you with the Los Angeles Defenders?
I was working with them for 2 years. Worked with them for a great 2 years.
And what led your path after? Because I believe that you were traveling around Asia, isn't it? You were coaching in Korea, in Japan. What was that feeling like? Because you're essentially kind of your own boss, isn't it? In a way, you're independent. You're running your own. You're going from camp to camp. How does that feel like as a coach?
Well, yeah. At that time, at that time I was stuck in between of having a reputation of being a elite skilled trainer. And I got a call from my agent, and he just said, "Hey, a couple teams want you to come out in Asia and help their local players get better in their off season." So hey, I was sitting around in LA. I was waiting. They had just fired Byron Scott. I was waiting for them to announce the new head coach, who ended up being Luke Walton. So I kind of had to wait because the Warriors were in the finals. And they gave me the permission to go over to Asia, and I just kind of did a tour. I kind of started my own thing, kind of did a tour. I went to some of the best teams over there. I went to Oregon. I went to Samsung. They're in the KBL, Korean Basketball League, and I got an opportunity to work with some of their younger players. Some of those guys, they're stars right now in that league. And it was great for me as a young coach. It took the training wheels off. I didn't have anybody watching over me. I didn't have to be in meetings with anybody. It was just kind of up to me. I wanted to see if all the development of all the skill work, of all the things I've been able to teach our players over here, how would it translate overseas? As you would know, a lot of the basketball overseas is different from how it is here in America. But at the end of the day, it's still basketball. So, and players want to get better. So for me, it was a great experience. Feel like I got better as a coach. I feel like I got better as a skill trainer. And I feel like the players enjoyed it.
I always say, Coach, basketball is a universal language in a way.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you play. You can kind of read and see and understand each other's game. The styles are different, but the fundamentals and the kind of game is always there, isn't it? If you're looking at so traveling to Asia, was it quite a shock and surprise at, say, the talent and how passionate the Asian fans are and the people playing basketball in, say, Korea and Japan?
Just to be honest, no. I mean, I was expecting it. The one thing that did shock me was how coachable the kids and how coachable the professionals were. Just being honest. I mean, here we have coachable kids and coachable professionals as well. But when I traveled over there, I mean, it was like you could see the intensity just through stretching. You could see the intensity through a 5 or 10 minute ball handling routine. The intensity was just a little bit kind of up a notch. And, it was every day. It was from every player, whether it was a girl, whether it was a boy, whether it was a man, whether it was a female. So, that's when I was like, okay, this is a little different. This is a little different. It's still basketball. It's still training, but it's a little bit different in a good way. In a good way.
And I've coached in Asia as well, and they're very appreciative as well. Like, for example, after sessions, they would ask for photos, and I was kind of surprised about that as well, because when I coach in the UK, it's just session done. You spot the kids, or you just go, yeah, good work today. I don't know if you experienced that, Coach.
Mm-hmm. That's why I'm laughing, because I have a story like that as well. I mean, I was doing the camp there, and after we got done, I'm like, hey, giving all the kids high five. I go over to wipe or change my shirt, And I turned back around, and it's like the whole camp is standing in the line with their parents wanting autographs from me. And I'm like looking around like, from me? Like, so, but yeah, very appreciative.
So, great stories, Coach. So, heading back to America then, this probably goes on to one of the say key head coaches and lead roles that you've had in your career in the De La Salle University Green Archers. How did that opportunity come about? Was it during the G League? Describe the kind of journey behind actually coaching in the Philippines.
First off, I want to say rest in peace to Dundee. He was a major figure in the Philippine basketball community and business world. He was over De La Salle Green Archers program. He actually signed off to hire me. That opportunity came about. Got a call from my agent, Paul Howard. And he just kind of ran down. He just told me it was a big-time university in the Philippines who wanted to hire an import coach, wanted to, train and help get the local players better and hopefully compete for a Final Four berth. Of course, I was ecstatic. Of course, I did my research and I found out how rich history the program had and how, it was a no-brainer for me to decide to go over there. So that's how that came about. And the experience was good. The experience was great. We didn't get the outcome we wanted or I wanted, but it was a good experience for myself.
And I was following the season all the way through, so it was quite exciting. They brought in new coaches, recruited very well in my eyes. And you guys were very confident going into the season, which rightfully so. I believe, you had the quickest guards. You had, to me, Baltazar, one of the best centers in the league, I believe. And I think it was looking very positive, and there was a lot of positives in the season. What was it like adapting to the Filipino game from America?
To be honest, it was, I wouldn't say it was tough. It's just, I wasn't really told the situation going in, like you said, when I first got there, I didn't know anything about the one and done rule. Not to use that as an excuse or anything. I didn't know anything about one and done players. When I got over there, it was amazing. The culture was different. I brought in another coach, also assistant coach, skill developer, Roland Watts. And we both do a lot of training and both do a lot of coaching in the States. So when we got over there, it was like a coach's dream come true. We had our own facilities. We were just told to get the players better and ready for the season. So early off, we had 20 guys. And, at that point in time, I had to choose, I think, 14 or 13. So we had already built a culture. We had already kind of had guys in place, so we thought we were going to play roles in the season. And then that's when I was told, hey, we have about 5 new players that are coming in like June. So that was kind of shocking, and that was kind of head scratcher. But that was part of the deal, I guess. So that was the one, I don't want to say bad experience or bad part about it, but that was just the uncertainty about that situation. But you're right. We had the best big man, Justin Baltazar. We have 2 guards. We had the guard play in Joe Serrano and Malacio and Andre Caraco. It's just chemistry. We didn't have we had those one and done players, and we just didn't have enough time to get them bought into the system, to how the basketball was played out there, how the officiating is out there. So.
You had also Jamie Malonzo. He was really, really good in terms of, I think he was mentioned, I think he was UAAP Mythical 5. Very, American style player that you get athletic, long, can score, shoot the ball. How's it like to have someone like Malonzo on your team?
Yeah, he was a joy to coach. He's going to be a star out there. Very high flyer, very athletic, very coachable young man. I think one of the reasons he succeeded out there is, like you said, he's very athletic. A lot of Filipino players, they probably haven't seen that athleticism in person. I mean, they might have seen it in YouTube, or they might see it in the PBA, but at the college level, him and I think Kobe Perez and Richie Rivera and Toronto, that's the cream of the crop when it comes to being athletic, along with the big fella down there at Ateneo. So, Jamie was a joy to coach, and he'll have a great PBA career down there when he gets started.
It's, again, as you said, he was a highlight player. And he's doing very well. I think he's actually representing Gilas now as well, which is amazing. As you mentioned, with the chemistry, I think it's difficult in such a short space of time, especially with new additions, to get them to all, no matter how talented the team are, to get them all on the same page. And I can see why De La Salle brought you in, because of the history. The past 2 seasons they did reach the Final Four, I believe, and they wanted to change that. You finished with an overall record of 7-7. To me, the games that were lost were just could have been won through experience. I don't think you actually played bad at all. I don't think I took a lot of positives out of the performances. It was just crossing over the finishing line, especially if a program has not been winning in the past few years. It's hard to get that routine back. Would you agree on that? It's just more of the experience side that was closing out games?
Well, part of that is true. But at the end of the day, nobody wants to hear an excuse. We didn't get it done. we didn't get it done. But a huge deal of that was because of the inexperience as a group. Out of those one and done players, Jamie, he played a lot. And himself and myself, we had just got there. So, a lot of stuff was different. We missed a lot of free throws. We turned up all over when we didn't need to. And all that is part of basketball. So, again, no excuses, but, that's what happened.
As you said, coming into De La Salle, you knew it was a big reputation. Going into your first Ateneo La Salle game, you probably thought I'd bring it up. It's like a Duke UNC game, isn't it? Describe that feeling of coaching in that atmosphere, and also coaching against Coach Tab, which is one of the best all-time coaches in the Philippines.
Coach Tab, I love Coach Tab. It was a great experience to, compete against him. It was a great experience. The 2 times I got to play against Ateneo. It was a great rivalry. The first, I don't want to say month, I want to say the first week I got there to the Philippines, people would walk up to me and ask me, am I ready for that game? And, as a coach and as somebody who's not, from the Philippines, I'm like, yeah, I'm ready. It's just a basketball game. It's just any other game. Yeah. Until I experienced it. It was great. I mean, it is just another game, but it's more than a game. It's about pride. It's about 2 universities who have a lot of pride, a lot of school pride, a lot of tradition, a lot of basketball pride, a lot of history. And I was just amazed and thankful to be a part of it. Coming from where I come from, people don't get to experience things like that. And it was by far one of my top 2 or 3 accomplishments or accolades in my coaching career so far.
And that's really amazing to hear, Coach. It's part of to me, why I invited you to the podcast, the inspiration behind your story, how you get to those moments, isn't it? It feels quite surreal.
Yeah.
And describe your games coaching against Tab, because you said you got a lot of love for him, but he's a genius on the court, isn't he?
Yeah, his teams are very disciplined. That was the thing that kind of stuck out to me. In both games, we were right there. You know, I think in the first game, we had a bad second quarter. You know, we fouled too much. And in the second game, I just think, you know, we were there the whole step of the way. But, you know, their discipline, team discipline, you could tell that they had been there. You could tell that the players had been there. They had been in those situations. And again, that's all part and it's all due to the coach. You could tell they're real well coached. You could tell that it wasn't any one player. It was about the team. And that was the thing that I and my staff was trying to, you know, get our guys at Salle to understand. Like, hey, you can go out there, one player can go out there and score 30 and you lose and defeats the purpose. But if you go out there and you have a team effort and you get 6 or 7 or 8 guys who are contributing, not just scoring, but who are contributing on the defensive end, who are getting 50-50 balls, who are, you know, getting hockey assists, who are doing other things, taking charges. And, you know, that's how you become a champion. And that's what they did.
How was it like adjusting to the head coach role? Because usually, you know, the assistant coach is the guy on the side. This season, I saw you on the sideline, up and down, screaming at your team. How was that feeling, having the pressure of the head coach? Because it is a transition from being at AC.
Yeah, it's a very different, you know, different job. It was probably a dream come true for me, I guess. Just my story being in the developmental league, you know, having the great coaching mentors I've had, and Nate Tibbetts and Dale Osborne and Anthony Goldwire. You know, I've always kind of been the guy, the younger guy. I've always kind of been the guy who was kind of closer to the players, who was kind of developing the players, who's kind of watching video with the players, doing the scouting report. And, you know, I've always been the guy to give my opinion and not really matter or not really get any blame if it didn't work. Well, this time it was a little different. You know, all eyes are on you. If it doesn't work, you're the worst coach in the world. If it does work, you're the best coach in the world. But I wouldn't change anything in the world. It was a great experience. I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to getting another head coaching opportunity here in the near future. And it was my first head coaching opportunity. So it was a lot of things that, you know, I would kind of do differently. And I have them all down in the mental. And as young coaches and as coaches in general, you know, that's how you get better. That's how you get better. You learn from your mistakes, and that's the only way, you know, you can get better.
You seem, Coach, like a very people's person, Coach. For example, in De La Salle, I think I was reading your goodbyes, and in a way that you really like the staff there, like the ball boys, the kitchen staff, which is amazing to hear. Is there any memories that really stuck out outside of the basketball court that you always kind of remember from coaching at De La Salle? The little things, in a way.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I was a foreign coach coming to a different country with no family. So, you know, the kitchen staff, I don't want to call them the kitchen staff, the support staff, Miss Kathy, you know, they took care of me. Boss Dundee, my guy at Big Boss's Haircuts, Gerald Cinco, they took care of me. They took care of me off the court, any needs I had, any holidays I wanted to be a part of, you know, they always looked out. And for me, that made coaching and basketball easy. I think about those guys every day, still reach out to them and check on them. And, you know, it was great.
I had an interview with actually a former Lasali, and he was Terrence Mustre, and he told me that the environment, that culture they create is like a family. Would you agree on the Green Arches family?
Yeah, I mean, it's a family atmosphere. The school, I'm trying to say how to say this. The school is a great school. You could take a degree from there. You can go anywhere in the world. I also have learned a lot from the people at the school. Miss Joy, she was amazing to be around as well. You know, and they all want to see current and future LaSallians and past LaSallians do well.
Were you actually quite surprised by the whole setup at the Philippines? Because it is our number one sport, but if you don't really look into it, you wouldn't really know much about De La Salle, UAAP. When you went there, like you said, mentioned earlier, you know, you've got practice facilities. Were you quite surprised at how everything was quite well structured and everything was in place?
Yeah, I was quite surprised of how popular basketball was. I mean, I'm a basketball junkie. I am. I consider myself to be. Out there, it's at a whole different level. I mean, basketball never stops. That was one of the things that, you know, I did enjoy about it. But that's one of the things you don't really understand by reading or doing research. You have to be over there. You have to go to the high school games. You have to go to a UAP game. You have to, you know, you have to experience that. I mean, I was calling home, talking to other coaches, telling them about the band and the drums playing during the games. And, you know, they're like, oh, yeah. As you're drawing up a game plan and you're coaching in a close game and that band is playing, you know, that intensity is rising. It's nothing like that. You know, it's nothing like that. And I've been to a lot of NBA games. I've been a part of NBA games. I've been a part of, you know, I've watched LeBron James play glad. I've been a part of a lot of, you know, good basketball, a lot of great basketball. Nothing gave me the feeling I had last year, you know, just being honest.
Those are the moments that coaches live for, isn't it, Coach? No way.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Those are some great moments.
And that's a great compliment to the Philippine basketball as well, in the culture that the collegiate, especially collegiate, have built, you know. And it's great because you said it's not just hundreds of thousands of people that watch college basketball in the Philippines. Not just at Ateneo and the Salle game, but even if it's a UP, any college team, the arenas are always packed. So this is probably what we were going to go on to, of course, in terms of once the season was over, you know. You guys, I could see that they all fought hard, and they had a 7-7 record, missed out on the Final Four. What happens then after? There was a bit of uncertainty, of course, who we're going to apply, who they're going to recruit as a head coach. What was going through your mind at that time?
To be honest, I mean, it was a lot of confusion. Like I said, the guy who brought me there was Boss Dundee, along with Danny Siegel, who was the basketball ops at the time. And from what I was told, I guess they told him they were going to give him 3 years. So, you know, I think he thought we had some time. When we didn't make the Final Four, I kind of could feel that, you know, they were probably going to try to get a little bit more experienced coach, although I didn't think that's what we needed at the time. You know, I thought my staff, along, you know, Roland Watts, Danny Siegel, MC, and G and Nazario, I thought we put together a culture where, you know, we were allowing guys to play. You know, I was a newer coach. So when I first got there, I had to, you know, it was an adjustment period. You know, I had to get guys to understand, like, play basketball, do what you've been doing your whole life. You know, you're not a robot. I mean, you know, that's, I think, the difference I brought, where, you know, the past coaches, I think, kind of had them in a system where they were kind of like robots, where me, you know, I see the work that those guys had put in. I mean, we put in a lot of work prior to the season. Every guy that was on that team, that's why they made the team. We put in a lot of work, a lot of individual work, a lot of skill training. So I would see the confidence. I've seen the confidence grow in the intro Serrano. I think the year before I got there, he averaged like 4 points. The kid is going to be a PBA star in the next year or two. I think, you know, 6 guys on the team had career highs all over the board. So I just think me and the staff I brought in, I thought we were able to give those guys confidence. And I just thought we needed a little bit more time for it to translate to team success. And then we had an import who was sitting out, Amadou. He would have been playing this year for us. He worked his tail off. He's kind of a big guy who can shoot. He's kind of an American big guy, but he's an import. He's a 6'11" center who can shoot threes. So I knew in the back of my mind I had him in the fold. You know, we were just excited. And then, reality hits. They decided to go in a different direction. And, they still wanted me to be part of the program. They tried to get me to be like a skill development coach, which is a great job. But, I was already 14, 15 years into doing that. I wanted the opportunity to finish what I started there. I think the last game we played against Adams, we won by 20 plus points. And that would have been a preview. I think, of what would have came.
As you mentioned earlier, it's a results-driven business, isn't it? It's very difficult, especially in the space of a season, to make an impact. I always believe you have a transition period where it's a transitional season where you have to adjust to your team. The team have to adjust to you. It looked like you built, like you said, your players still speak to you even till now. You build a good relationship with them. I think myself and other Sallians were actually hoping that you stayed for another year just to prove, rather than changing coaches and then having a different system now, which the players may cause a bit of a confusion. But we'll see how it turns out. I think the big man you were talking about was Ndai. Is that the guy?
Yeah, there'll be a lot of pressure on him this year,
Yeah.
but they'll be a hell of a team this year. They'll probably for sure make the Final Four this year. They have a lot of experience coming back. They probably have the best backcourt in the league. And it's gonna take him a little bit of time. Just think Kwame, but think a better shooter. That kid is that talented. He's a hell of a worker. I think he's still there. I think he didn't even go home during the COVID-19. I think he stayed there. He's a gym rat. And, they'll be good. They'll be fine.
As you mentioned, they offered you the skills role. I could see in your timeline, you've already had those roles. It feels like you won't progress because of course you had a strong head coach role. What's your plans for the future, coach? What has anything lined up? Do you see yourself coaching in the Philippines again? Speak more about kind of what's in the works. You're smiling, so it's positive.
I hope so. I hope so. I just had a baby. I had a baby when I was down there. He's 1.5 now, so
congrats, coach.
Appreciate it. So, I kind of felt like I had to go back home. It's not that I didn't want the skill development role, but it was just a little different. As for the future plans, I'm not too sure yet. Of course, I'll be coaching. Of course, I'll be training people. Again, I want another crack at being a head coach. And, I would love to come to the Philippines again. I love the Philippines. I love the culture. I love the basketball out there. So, who knows?
What did you love most about the Philippines, coach, in your travels when you went there? Is there any particular places that you like going to? Any of the food that you tried? Probably a question you got asked on TV several times, but
to be honest, man, I'm a gym rat. So it's nonstop basketball. So, I would wake up and a high school game would be on. I would go to practice. I would come back, an NCAA game would be on. So just the basketball part, I would go to the malls. I would go to pasta places. I would just walk around Manila and go to the BGC and catch some hoops. So that's what I enjoyed the most, to be honest.
That's good to hear, coach. That's really good to hear. So, is there any advice you come up with? Because, of course, as you mentioned, young coaches coming up. Is there any advice that you would give to coaches that I think you mentioned early in the podcast, get into coaching early, which is good. Kind of prepare that mindset, prepare that mentality. But is there anything that you've learned out of your experience that you can give to coaches? I know there's different types of coaches, but any advice that you would take that you'll give to the upcoming coaches?
Two things. One for young, active coaches. If you're working a player out, just try to be in shape. That was the one thing I learned in the NBA. When you're working with elite players, man, they all want to get better. They all want to get better. And one thing that's kind of helped me out is putting in sweat equity. What that means is, rebounding and putting the player through a drill is one thing, but when you're doing it with the player, when you're teaching them that way, when you're sweating with them, when you're grinding with them, that takes that relationship to a whole nother level. And then secondly, if you're an assistant coach and you give a suggestion to a head coach and he doesn't necessarily use it, or you feel like he's not listening to you, hey, don't get upset about it, and don't take it personal. That's, at the end of the day, that's your job. Your job is to voice your opinion, and it's on him, head coach, or she, the head coach, to use that opinion or not. I meet a lot of young coaches, and that's one of the things they ask, like, hey, coach, what if I see this, I see that, and I want to do this, and coach, so that's the advice I would have for young up and coming coaches.
Thank you, Coach. And one last question in terms of De La Salle, because I think you had a great time there. One game that really stood out for you that you'll always remember with De La Salle.
One game, to be honest with you, two. A UP game where we lost at the buzzer. The little guard stole the ball. We were up by one. We hit a three to win the game. And then secondly, our last game against UST, I think we ended up winning by one at the buzzer. It was a very emotional game for me. I had some personal issues back here at home that I couldn't attend to because we were trying to make the Final Four. So those are the two games that I'll always remember.
I still remember those games as well. I remember the UP game. It was so frustrating. It was actually off a turnover, which wasn't necessary at that time, wasn't it? Describe that feeling when it happened, and the team, the morale must have been deflated after.
Man, at that point, it was earlier in the season. It was the first round. At that point, that was our very first complete game. I mean, I think we led the game for a whole 19. I think we led the game for a whole 30 seconds. 39 minutes in like 45 seconds. So it was our best complete game. I finally found the good rotations. All of our players were playing well. Our top 5 players, top 4 players all had good games together for the first time in the season. And, it was deflating. We were winning, and the turnover occurred, and the guy hit the shot to win. Kind of deflating, but to those guys' credit, UP, that was a hell of a shot. We took the De La Salle team that I had, we stuck it up, we sucked it up, and we continue to fight.
I mean, in terms of recruitment, everyone expected UP to take it all the way because he signed the big players, So, to me, again, it's a reflection of your team. I still think the La Salle team, when complete, as you mentioned, and everyone's in sync and everyone's got their rotation well, shots are falling. That's important in basketball. Your team was definitely a Final Four team in my eyes. And coaching against UST, against auFIO, that must have been a good experience. He's known for his havoc defense, defensive mindset. How was that as well?
Yeah, it was a great experience. His teams compete at a high level. They're very physical, very well coached, very prideful. It's kind of similar here in the States at the college and high school level. So for me as a coach, it wasn't anything I hadn't seen before. Their team just tries to wear you down. And to be honest, my experience in the D League kind of helped me prepare for his teams. They kind of play like the Rockets on offense. They shoot threes, free throws, and layups. They like to shoot corner threes. So, I kind of had seen that. A team in the D League called the Rio Grande Vipers, all they do is shoot a bunch of threes. That's kind of how the Rockets play in the NBA. So, for me, that was kind of one of the, I don't want to say easier, but for me, that was kind of one of the game plans that I kind of took on my hands to just kind of say, hey, I'm familiar with this kind of action. Our guys kind of enjoyed it as well because some of them were playing against a former coach. So it was 2 great games.
And I think that's where the experience is invaluable, isn't it, Coach? You can watch as much game tape as you can, but when you actually see it and coach against certain style of plays, you can adjust accordingly. And I think that's what it sounds like you've done there.
Yeah, that was kind of, second to none. Like I said, that style of play. It's very effective in the States. It's very effective overseas as well. And I think Coach Alvin is doing a great job at UST. He's built his program. He's built his style. He's brought his style with him. And, now he's able to probably go recruit the kids that he wants to play that style, to be honest.
And it's been great, Coach, actually. It's been so insightful talking, hearing your experiences from America to Asia to Philippines. Is there any shout outs that you want to give at the end? Anything that you want to add?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to you. Thank you for bringing me onto your platform. I enjoyed it. Also want to, give a shout out to my mentors who all helped me in my journey as becoming a coach. Nate Tibbetts, Anthony Goldwire, Dale Osborne, Roland Watts. All those guys have helped me. Brandon Barnett have helped me, be the coach that I am today. And I'm just going to continue to strive and continue to get better as a coach.
I'm looking forward to seeing where your journey ends up, Coach. And I shout out to your boy, Coach Rowe, because I actually have him on the podcast tomorrow. So it'd be great to hear his insights as well on his career.
Appreciate it, man. Tell him I said hello when you talk to him. I think he just landed a job somewhere. I'll let him tell you about that, but I know future is bright for him as well.
I'm sure, Coach. All right, Coach, enjoy the rest of your day. It's been a pleasure to have you on. Yeah, take care. Thank you again for the time.
Thank you.